Let's actually do a little tour of the M96 here. So this is after I ran it. So I just finished dumping the fuel out. Had the cap off there, but this side of the engine, we've got the governor. It has a circular spring holding the fly balls in, and then this long lever that actuates the latch, and the latch is U-shaped and goes around underneath the cylinder and then tucks away inside here to hook on the back side of the push rod. So the latch is hidden. You can see the other side of the U-shaped latch here, and then it pokes into the back side of the push rod. So this is a pretty nice, clever, elaborate hidden design for that latch. Another feature on this engine is it's got the valve body here on the side of the cylinder head, but there's cooling fins on the intake from the carburetor up to the engine. And you know, I have issues with the HM1 and some of the other engines where the brass carburetor is right in the head, and as the engine runs for extended periods, it heats up and then the mixture goes off because the carb body sometimes gets hot enough to boil the fuel inside the needle bar. But this has fins on the intake to help cool it off and keep this body, throttle body and needle bar from getting so hot it boils the fuel. So that's cute. They've got a tiny piece of fuel line between the tank and the intake here. Usually I take those off of my engines, but obviously this engine is too short for that. So when I store it, I'm going to be taking the fuel, opening the needle valve as wide as I can get it to make sure that whatever fuel is in there has a chance to drip back into the tank and evaporate in the tank so it doesn't gum up the needle bar as bad. And then this side, got the starter. We already looked at that, but it's got very classic style one direction crank. It's actually a nice design, but the tolerances are tight, and if you're not very careful inserting the drill, it can get wedged, and I've bunged up mine. So I'm going to figure out a way to make that a little bit looser so that it might pop out. Although if I get this tuned up the way I've gotten most of the engines tuned up, it should be hand start when I'm done. The camshaft here, the magnet for the Hall sensor that's under there. But what makes this engine obviously strikingly different is the flywheel is also the crank, and the big end and connecting rod are down inside between the two halves of the flywheel. So it's a very nice engine, a lot of improvements over previous engines, and I think it's going to be excellent to work with.